speaking of that, I am joined with my man, Garland Nixon. There he is, the man himself, the man of the hour. Garland Nixon, he is a political analyst. He is also has his own show on YouTube on the Garland Nixon channel. Check him out. He has interviews all the time. He is fantastic. Everything that comes out of his mouth is awesome. How you doing, Garland? You doing okay today?
I'm doing great. I was just listening to your last guest. It was great. Excellent interview. That guy's really good.
Arno is good. Arno is good.
Yeah.
I want to get to something. Well, let's first, we got to hit the tariffs. Donald Trump is, I mean, the pretty much tariffing the world. It is literally Trump versus the world on these tariffs. And I was looking for the numbers. Where are the numbers? Where are the numbers? Because it's an entire list. I mean, every country would effectively have a tariff against the country. They vary in different amounts. So let's say China has like 34%. Then you get to Canada. Then you get right here. Chile, 10%, India, 26%, Israel, 17%. What's funny about Israel removed its tariffs, believing that Trump wouldn't hit them with a tariff. Trump hit them anyway. China, 34%, Japan, 24%, Turkey, 10%, Taiwan, 32%. And it goes all the way down the list. Pretty much every country is getting hit with a tariff. And if it's not stated, then it's like 10%. Russia and Ukraine were not included on that list. This is going to be damaging. And I know that in Trump's mind, well, we're going to try to bring industry back into the United States. Good luck. Your term is going to be for another 3 years. I get the sense that companies are not going to take the expense of moving all the way back to the United States. And when somebody pointed this out, somebody was like, yeah, well, they should just buy American in reference to cars, effectively acknowledging, well, yeah, prices are going to be higher. Fox News, if I still have this clip up, started to make this argument sounding a lot like Jen Psaki. Do you remember when Jen Psaki came out after they put sanctions on Russian oil? And the Biden administration fully understood that the sanctions on Russian oil was going to hit normal, everyday Americans. It was going to increase prices. Jen Psaki comes out and says, our values are not without cost.
Putin's price
hike.
Remember
yeah,
that?
It was a price.
Putin's price hike. And people
well, they went to Putin's price hike after that. When they realized, okay, this sounds pretty bad that we're effectively acknowledging the fact that Americans are going to have to pay more. But the Fox News host, oh, where's that clip? Where's that clip? Okay, I'm going to have to find that clip. But she effectively comes out and says, hey, in times of war, we have to take the hit. Here she is. Here she is. Oh, this is great. So she comes out and says this, and I want to get your take on it after the fact. Right.
Talking plain speak with them. Look, when this nation and those 401k people who were depending, those retirees, all of that, just talking plain speak with them. Look, when this nation used to go to war, people in this country would support the war effort with their materials at home and making things for weaponry and all of that. We got to 100% buy-in over this bumpy period. Just communicate.
She is acknowledging this is going to hurt. At the very least, in the short term. Now, we don't know what the short term means. This is going to hurt. And so, we have to buy in. We have to act as if we're in a war. We're not in a war. Donald Trump is doing this randomly, out of the blue. Nobody asked him to do it. He made the decision to do it himself. And it is going to damage Americans as it increases prices across the board. That's an astonishing thing that Donald Trump just did. And all of those workers who voted for Trump with the idea that he was going to somehow better the economy just fell off a cliff. Trillions of dollars in minutes. Give me your thoughts.
A couple of things. Well, I would disagree with you when you said we're not at war. Yeah, we are. A class war. The war of the ruling elite against the rest of us poor saps out here that are trying to buy an egg every now and then. We'll be buying them one at a time soon. It won't be a matter of a dozen eggs. It'll be like, hey, guess what?
Two in the box. Right, two in the box.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But at any rate, what's interesting is that really, without saying it, they're starting to admit that they work for the ruling elite. Because she's like, we have to tell these people out here that are depending on 401k and 401ks, right? We who? right? The ruling elite, those of us who are mouthpieces, like for instance, her, for the ruling elite, have to explain to the unwashed, the hoi polloi out here, those who, don't understand that they've got to take a little pain every now and then for our policies. Well, here's the thing about it. The people, these ruling elite and their mouthpieces, are thoroughly discredited. People ain't even watching the mainstream media anymore. So the idea that the ruling elite and or their mouthpieces like her can tell us that we should take pain because their policies, this is the implication. You guys got to take a little pain because these policies are going to help you in the long run. In other words, we have to first believe that you're executing policies that are going to help us in the long run. We don't believe that anymore.
I don't believe
so.
that.
Even if you tell us, well, you got to understand now we're at war. We who? You, the ruling elite, are at war against us. And we're at war. So you're going to have to take some pain because in the long run, this is going to help you. And actually, she doesn't even really come out and say that, but that's the implication. Take some pain in the long run, it'll help you. Nobody believes you. You're discredited. You keep telling us we're going to do tax cuts that are going to help you. And here's the way it always works. You got to take some pain. All right, ruling elite, are you going to take any pain? Well, no, not exactly. We're still going to have limousines. We're still going to have private jets and all that stuff like we are. They always tell us we got to take pain, whether it's about they've discredited themselves with environmentalism. Well, you have to suffer. You can't use gas leaf blower you have. Yeah, you can't use that anymore. You have to have an electric leaf blower because that gas leaf blower, hurts the environment and stuff like that. Well, what about you? Are you going to stop using your private plane? Absolutely not. How about that 300-foot yacht you just bought? I got to have that, my private plane and all that stuff and 3 or 4 mansions, but you can't use the stinking leaf. It's always you working class people got to take more pain. And we'll imply that you're going to get something out of it. But history tells us the only thing we're going to get out of it is more pain. And this ain't going to work out well for the ruling elite.
And by the way, Trump is looking at this like, we're going to be able to give a tax cut. Now, we already know where those tax cuts go. Like that tax cut is going to go predominantly to the rich, while us, everybody else, having to take the hit for the recession. I mean, look, tariffs are a tax. This is one of the largest taxes on the American public that we've ever been hit with. And Trump doesn't want to own the fact that it's a tax. What does he think a company is going to do? Does he really think a company is going to eat a 20% tariff? Or are they going to say, okay, we're paying, and then we're putting this on the American public for them to pay 20% more for this particular product to compensate for the 20% tariff that we just put forward? So we, like you said, those eggs are going to go down to like 2 in a container. In the same way that when you buy a bag of chips, you have this huge bag, and then that chips are very little at the bottom because, they've shrunk down the amount because of issues of inflation or issues of cost. They are going to get a massive tax cut at the end of this. Trump is going to write this bill. He's going to give them a ton of money, with us being stuck paying for the increased costs across the board. It's that. Now, if he thinks that the American public is going to be okay with that, going into a midterm, I have a bridge to sell you on Mars. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Give me your take.
Well, here's the other part of it, and Trump may be counting on this, but let's see how it works out. The Democratic Party is his opposite. He has no opposition. There is a minority party, that's the Democratic Party, but they're not an opposition party. Right. We'll see. Look, Cory Booker spends 25 hours railing against whatever. Right. But then when you look online, everybody says the same thing. Here's a picture of Cory Booker with Yoav Gallant, the international war criminal. And so no matter what the Democrats do, they have been morally discredited by Gaza. I don't think there's any way for them to get out of that. Every time Bernie stands up, we're going to do this, he's been discredited. People are like, come on, Bernie, you told us to vote for a genocidal maniac, right? So they've been so morally discredited. They're not a legitimate opposition party. They're just a minority party. And the polls say, as people get upset with Trump, the Democrats are even becoming even more of a minority party. That's what's interesting now. That you would think that their numbers would go up as Trump's numbers go down. Their numbers are still crap.
Yeah.
Could this be the thing where people say, hell, I'm voting for some third party? We could start to see finally, maybe, I don't know, some move towards a third party. And then here's the question. And based on what Trump's doing with censorship, and the Democrats, they're all for that. Do we start to see that European style AFD shooting Fico, arresting Gorgescu, charging Le Pen? Do we start to see the two parties come together in desperation to pass laws to make it harder for third parties, as if there ain't enough laws to make it hard? So this could be, you could start to see now that the Democrats are morally discredited, now that the Republicans under Trump are also being morally discredited over Gaza. And I add this, and the loss of hope, people saying, hey, that people are starting to say this over and over with Trump. Hey, that's not what I voted for.
Exactly.
And sadly it is. But I don't blame them. I understand they were so horrified and frightened with the Democrats that they were like, I got to try anything. This ain't working. But now he's just demonstrated he's a different variety of it. As I always like to say, now when I see somebody arguing, the Democrats are better. No, the Republicans are better. The Democrats are at fault. No, the Republicans are at fault. It's like I feel like I'm watching two people sitting there looking at a zebra arguing. No, it's a white horse with black stripes. No, it's not. It's a black horse with white stripes. It's a rhetorically irrelevant argument.
Yeah. Yeah. The cup is half full. No, it's half empty.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. I get the sense that Trump is not, how can I say this? Trump had the potential to be something else. And he comes in, tells the Muslim community, looks them in the eye, hey, I'm going to end wars, not start wars. And I'm going to end this war in Gaza. And then you find out, okay, well, he just lied to the Muslim community. He's amoral to the truth. He doesn't really care, right? He says whatever he says to say to get from point A to point B. He will look you in the eye, shake your hand, and lie to your face flat out, with this kind of just Herculean capacity to accept this level of habitual lying. And so over and over again, he has done things that has repudiated the very things he said during the campaign trail. So if he says, I'm going to end this war, okay, he didn't end the war. He filled Israel with weapons and basically tried to ethnically cleanse Gaza and the West Bank. Now, Joe Biden was trying to do the same, but put that to the side for the moment. If Trump would have stuck with the deal, they wouldn't have had this flare up that Netanyahu is effectively massacring all of these people. Now, even on the economy, I would say many people voted for Trump with the idea that he was going to be a better steward of the economy. And lo and behold, he comes out and says, I'm going to have a trade war against the world. And yeah, in 10 years, it might be better. But, right now it's going to hurt. So just buy American. Okay, again, for the poor and the middle class, that doesn't really help. And then add to that, Elon Musk running around with a chainsaw and a cheese hat, talking about he's going to destroy and kill Social Security. I've made the argument that Elon Musk is radioactive. And I am glad that has been shown to be true. So this is a clip from CNN where they're talking about Musk's effect in Wisconsin, where people literally came out to vote against Musk. And to do so much that they ran out of ballots because so many people came out effectively to say, we don't appreciate, we don't like, that guy's a weirdo, we want nothing to do with him. This is CNN pointing out, if Musk is anywhere near your campaign, you're going to lose.
This tells us,
right.
If you are a Republican candidate running in a swing state, you don't want Elon Musk anywhere near you. Yes, maybe you like the money, but you do not want his presence in your state. Why is that? Elon Musk, simply put, is an unpopular guy. He is political poison. Look in Wisconsin, his net favorable rating, minus 12 points underwater. That is an even worse number when you look nationally. Look at that. It's minus 17 points. So if there's one big lesson to take away from
Musk is radioactive. And I don't understand. I've said this from day one. The day that Elon Musk started sniffing around Donald Trump's campaign, I said, that guy's albatross. He is radioactive. He is a weirdo. He talks strange. And not just, look, I know he has Asperger's or something, whatever that is. I'm just putting out, he is radioactive from campaigns. And then you send him to go out, the richest man on the planet, to attack Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, where they are firing tens of thousands, if not 100,000 workers from all of these organizations, tens of thousands from Health and Human Services. I think it was like 40,000 people that they fired. And the face that Trump has for doing that is Elon Musk. This is what I mean, right? Like, what I don't want is for Democrats to represent nothing, to be nothing, to be empty vessels, and just stand there and point and say, hey, that's bad, but they're doing that, vote for us. Because I think the American public will slosh back and vote for him, and I don't want that.
A couple of things. What we're seeing is a an incredible continuity of politics in so many ways. Here's what I mean. And I've said this many times. 2020, the Democrats knew what everybody wanted. Oh yeah, free health, was it junior college? Oh man, we got you covered there. Oh, you need a whatever $20 minimum, $1 million minimum wage. They didn't care. Well, you got it, and they went on and on. Oh wait, Obamacare, a few problems, but we're going to give you a public option. They just ran down a list of what, say, Bernie supporters, which by that I mean 90% of the party who would align with the actual policies that Bernie put forward in 2016. Even though Bernie wouldn't, the people would, right? So they just gave a list of those. Hey, Bernie, give us a list of all your policies. Hey, everybody, here's a list of Bernie's policies. We got you covered. As soon as Biden got elected, all right, it's time for war with Russia. Oh, hey, no time for East Palestine. We got to get more money for Kiev. Here's $740 for your home washed away, right? He lied about everything. The complete and total absolute disregard for anything the Biden team said on the campaign trail. Midterm, hey, elect us and we'll codify Roe v. Wade, whatever. They got elected. All right, back to war, right? Okay, Trump gets in. Hey, I'm the peace president. In other words, that continuity is, look, what they've learned is this. Tell people what they want to hear on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
And then when you get in, do what you're going to do. But that can only last but so long. Okay, it hurt the Democrats. By the time they got to 2024, people were on to them. We don't trust you. We don't care what you say. And the Democrats are like, we've got to change our message. It's not your message. What you are is screaming so loud, people can't hear what you say. Okay, so now Trump comes in, continuity. He does exactly the same thing. You want to hear this? Yeah, I'm going to do this, that, whatever you want. When he gets in, off he goes on his tangent. And with Trump thinking he's some kind of an economic, whiz, right? That would be like me saying,
like 6 times. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Well, that would be like, I live near the Key Bridge and the Key Bridge collapsed. That'd be like me saying, yes, elect me as governor and I will personally design a new Key Bridge. I'm not an architect. I can't do it. But if I thought I could, right? The most dangerous person in the world is an idiot that thinks he's a genius. I'm not saying Trump is or isn't an idiot. I'm saying you're an idiot. You're effectively an idiot. If you are in a scientific or of some realm, some specialty, some genre that you have no training in, say international politics, and you think that you convince yourself that you understand international economics or politics, and you have absolutely zero training in it. Vladimir Putin has a degree in what? A PhD in economics. And he wrote like a document that said, if I got elected, became president, this is how I would rebuild the Russian economy. And he got elected. He used his document that he was trained in to rebuild the Russian economy, and it worked. What a shock, right? So my point is, we got people in there, Trump, who he really, you notice he didn't tell anybody this. He didn't care. He knew he had to lie to get in office. Now, at a time when, and here's the interesting thing, Luigi, at a time, what did we learn from the Luigi shooting? That people are furious at the ruling elite. They're furious at the institutions. They're furious at the billionaires. People are like, yeah, go ahead and shoot them. Yay, right? Okay. At that time, you bring in the richest man in the world. You want to talk about not being able to read the room. Talk about not reading the room. People are like, hey, let's string them up. And you're like, hey, let me get the rich man in the world. Come on over here. I'll put you right out front so everybody can see you. I could have told Trump, this probably ain't the time in history when you want to throw out the richest man in the world to actually start laying off working class people. It's a bad look. But Trump, it's not that Trump can't read the room. It's that it doesn't matter to the ruling elite. There ain't no room. The room he's reading ain't the room we're talking about, and it doesn't really matter. And he's got a bunch of ideologues around him who believe things that ideologues believe. But Biden had a team of ideologues who believe certain things. And he has a team of ideologues, but all of them together will refuse to accept that the United States is in free fall. So I just keep saying this. Everything they try to do to save a declining empire only makes it collapse faster.
Yeah, it's almost, yeah, I agree with you. It's like I'll compare it to a game of chess for a bit. There are some positions that get very complicated. And it's a razor's edge position, meaning if you mess up, it's going to collapse. Like it's just like it is so on the level, right? That any mistake, even a tiny one, is going to decapitate your position. And sometimes if you're playing, you are making these more dramatic and extravagant moves just to hold, right? And I always feel like when you get into positions like that, it's like it's the worst case scenario. Everything that you do makes it worse. It's like you're taking these actions that don't necessarily. I'm trying to think of a real world correlation.
I got one.
Please go for it.
A person who falls in the water and they're drowning, they're reaching all and they're struggling, right? Here's the problem. In order to swim, I don't know if you got to kind of relax. You got to calm down and, tread water or dog paddle or something, or float if you can float, whatever, but you got to calm down and move slow. If you start thrashing, you're doing a couple of things. You're making yourself go down. You're running out of energy faster. Now you're breathing in water. When you fight in there, that's what makes the person drown faster. The more they thrash and scream and panic, the faster they drown. The only way is to relax and realize I'm in a difficult situation. Let me calm down and just slow. Yeah.
But I don't think he gets that. Like he seems to think that America is this 1990s empire where we can do whatever we want. And in doing whatever we want, we can have a trade war against the world, that the world won't respond to us in kind, and that we can tolerate if they do respond to us in kind. I mean, it's very bizarre thinking. I mean, and it seems to be conflicted. So in one sense, he's like, okay, well, it's a new world. There's spheres of influence. So we want to get out of Russia and we want to pivot to China. Okay, right off the bat, you starting a war with China is ridiculous. Your own people tell you this is a non-starter. By the same token, he's like, I am also now going to have a trade war against the world. I am potentially going to attack Iran, which again is a worse outcome for the empire. All of these, like for example, the Ukraine war was one of those things that pointed out, hey, you don't have the power that you think you have. And yet it seems oblivious to him and his team. I don't get why they don't see it.
Trump is neurotic and narcissistic, which means he is the perfect leader for the U.S. empire. It's a neurotic and narcissistic empire, right? So what neurotic people do and narcissistic people do is they have coping mechanisms. And they just keep doing them over and over and over. If you watch Trump, he does the same thing over and over and over and over. I mean, on a day-to-day basis. Well, I'm going to talk to the Russians. But if they don't do what I want them to do, smash them with more, crush them with more. What about Venezuela? Crush them with more Iran. Let's bring in some big planes that we can blow them up with. He just over and over and over. Now, he recently said, oh yeah, I'm ready to talk to a North Korean leader again. And I'm thinking, what planet are you? And who the hell wants to talk to you? Who's going to listen or trust the United States, period? We violated every treaty. Now, we're going to talk to North Korea. This is an easy prediction. He'll call North Korea. Hey, we want to have a talk. And North Korea is going to say, we really don't trust you. And he's going to say, we'll bomb them. We'll attack them. We'll blow them up. We'll tear them, trash them to pieces, secondaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A person who has really pathological conflict resolution skills. This is Donald Trump's conflict resolution skills. Threaten, boister, and puff yourself up, which is perfect because that's all the U.S. empire ever does. That's what they did under Biden. Remember this? We're going to send nuclear subs to South Korea as a deterrent. We're going to send nuclear subs in the area of Iran as a deterrent. Everything is we're going to threaten because that'll deter. That's the conflict resolution skills of a brutal, vicious empire. Yes, a small child that doesn't know anything better. They're pathological. And so he's perfect. It's just his are more pure. If you think about it, he's like the perfect imperial leader, because this is the purest, simplest version of what the U.S. empire has been doing. The problem is it works. It's like the guy who beats his big brother up all the time, and he wakes up one day and he's 16, his little brother, he beats his little brother up. He wakes up one day, he's 16, his little brother's 15, but his little brother's now 6'4", 220. He's still 5'11". And he says, "I'll do." Oh, crap. Right. Well, guess what? Now Russia and China are 6'4", 220, buddy. Iran's ain't no little. Now all your big brothers. Now you got a little brother that if you push him, you may win the fight, but you're gonna win with a bloody nose and a swollen eye and missing 3 or 4 teeth. Is that a fight you really want? That's where he is now.
It's pathological arrogance. It puts you in the mind of the Brits when they were, the British Empire. But I think at one point there was a thing of soft power that could be used to deal with these issues, whereas that is off the table. And I think the problem I think your analogy is right, that, in the 1990s, okay, well, you can pull the stuff where you bomb Yugoslavia, right? Russia can't get involved. Nobody else can get involved. You can go into Iraq. Okay, again, nobody else can really get involved. This is not then. China is a major power. Russia is a major power. Russia just kicked your ass in Ukraine with all of the forces that you could array against it. They beat the shit out of it. And to make it even worse, you put all of the sanctions that you could, you did all of the economic stuff that you could, none of it matters. Russia's like number 4 in the global economy right now. You shot your load. And so any threat that you're applying to Russia ultimately doesn't matter, short of you going to nuclear war. In which case, it seems that at the very least, he's aware of that part. Like, okay, we shot our load on this. We need to get out of this. And we need to pivot to China, as if this is going to be somehow a better case scenario. The reason that China surrounded Taiwan was in part because Hegeseth was leaking a memo effectively saying we're going to pivot to China, we're going to effectively protect the separatists in Taiwan. Good luck with that. This is the exact same situation that took place in Ukraine, now just moved over to Taiwan. And maybe they think that, but see, this is different, because this is not the separatists at this point. This will be the U.S. engaging China directly in a conflict. Like, all of these options are bad. And even with the Iranian option, there is no military option or solution to Iran that doesn't end up with either 50,000 American troops killed, Israel being totally bombed, the oil fields in some of these Quisling governments being completely destroyed, where the oil market just goes belly up. None of these are good options. And he seems to not grasp it, or is using bluffs, which when they get called, you lose all legitimacy. It's fascinating. I mean, you're right. It's an empire in decline, with the guy in charge not necessarily knowing, or just going back to this most base, brutal way of trying to deal with the fact that the empire is collapsing. It's fascinating.
Well, this imperial collapse, one thing I like to look at is there are degrees of imperial collapse, right? And degrees of absurdity. Okay. Right now, you look at, and all these Americans are looking at France and the UK saying, these people are nuts. They're saying, we're going to send troops to Russia to stop Russia. How many troops you got? And the UK military is like, last time I counted, we got none. We can't send people over there, right? You got France, right? Oh yeah, we can get together 20 or 30 troops to take on those 700,000 troops in Russia, right? Yes, we'll send planes. You got any planes? We don't have gas for them right now. We're kind of broke, but we can send the planes as a deterrent. I don't know what the hell they're going to do, right? So, but people are looking at them saying, you're not rational. You know what I mean? You don't have the stuff to send. B, you couldn't maintain them and send all the weapons and things they needed. C, did I mention you don't have the stuff to send, right? So people are just looking at them and saying, you're not being rational. That's one degree of irrationality.
Yeah.
For those in the United States who are laughing and, sneering at them, is it any more irrational than our economic policy? Is it any more irrational? It's the same thing as the U.S. saying we can go 7,000 miles away and we can protect Iran. At the same time, think about this. Starmer will go and we'll stand up to the Russians. His military, yeah, we can't do that, right? Hegseth will go deter and stop and fight Russia over Taiwan. The guy that's nominated to be head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff just the other day said, yeah, we don't have the military industrial
Capability to
power
fight China. Yeah.
to fight. So the exact same thing. You got politicians saying we'll stand up to this world power, and literally the military is saying we can't do that. We don't have the ability to do that. So yeah, you know, you can look at them as irrational. It's the exact same thing. You've got Trump. I will bomb Iran like never before. And the people are like, yeah, but you know, they're going to hit just like these tariffs. You're going to punch. They're going to punch back. And when they do, you wipe out your whole presidency. Is that what you want to do? So basically, the U.S. is a mirror of its vassals. They're just a different degree because they're smaller or what have you like that. But are they any less rational than Trump's policies? We're going to dominate them. What do we have? 10, between 10 and 15% of like the world's economic power or something crazy like that of international trade. And we're going to use that 10 or 15% to dominate. The whole world could say, you know, let's just go ahead and clear ourselves for the United States and try to work this thing else on our own, and we would drop into obscurity and complete poverty. How do you back down from that's the next thing when these things collapse? How do you back down from that? At some point, Trump, I think's got to back down from that. And you know what? When he does that, to back down is to kind of wipe out his presidency too. It's kind of to admit, damn, I was really wrong on this one. Once you do that, do you have credibility for any of your major policies? He might have doing that could have been the end right there. Could have really destroyed himself. But we'll see. I don't know. You know, the Democrats are out there and they're going to do something far stupider, and they have no credibility. So who knows? Like I said, could this be the rise of third parties or the rise of the oppression of third parties?
I don't know. I hope so. Because these two people are, these two parties are idiots. And I think you're absolutely right. It's a declining empire doing any and everything in its power to stem the decline while making it worse as it goes down. I mean, look, I'll give Trump credit for what he's trying to do. You know, he's trying to bring industry back into the United States. I think this is a stupid way to do it. You're effectively attacking the people at the lowest end of the economic scale during a time where you're about to run into an election. So fair enough, but Jesus Christ, over and over, all of these policies make no real sense in the real sense of the word in regards to what is in the best interest of America. And look, I would give Britain credit on some front. At some point, they realized, all right, we're no longer an empire. And we need to, you know, kind of nail things down back at home. And they unraveled the empire in the various countries that they were effectively in and became more insular to themselves. I don't get the sense that the US is willing to do that. And in fact, it seems like they're willing to end the world if it means losing hegemonic control. And that is going to be a dance they have to do with China in that sense. Whereas these other countries are taking more, let's say, economic and industrial dominance in regards to the world. We'll see.
Well, you know, one, and this is sad, but you could say one thing that, because right now what we're looking at is how do you save the entire world from a crashing, it's gone from declining to collapsing empire, right? Yeah. It's gone from a disaster to a shambles, shall we say. How do we get out of that with being nuked? One of the things is this. Yeah, they want to go struggle with China and get some nuclear conflict. They are trapped in Ukraine and they are trapped in the Middle East, even with no war with Iran, which I suspect it's bluff, really. I do suspect it's bluff. But even without that, they are trapped. There is no way. They are like, I don't see any way out of the Middle East. Really, Ukraine, Europe is now really a conflict zone in the same way that they turned the Middle East into a conflict zone. Well, now they've turned Europe into a conflict zone, and they are trapped in these two conflict zones. And I don't see how they get out, because even if the so-called a war in Ukraine or the SMO ends, there's going to be hell to pay after that, because the Nazis are never going to go along with it. If somebody in Kiev gives them the order, okay, the war is over, they're going to say, like hell it is. They ain't going to listen to the people in Kiev. And then they're going to want revenge. So they'll be rampaging around Europe trying to, shoot down civilian airliners or get their revenge on whoever they think is, done them dirty. And so you got a mess in Europe for a long time. Then you're going to have people fighting it out in Europe saying you blew up our pipeline and we need to do something about the US blowing up. It's going to be a conflict zone, and we ain't getting out of either one of these conflict zones anytime soon to go struggle with China. I don't see that happening.
From your mouth to God's ears. I mean, they're definitely trying to pivot, bro. Garland, man, I always enjoy these conversations. I swear to God, the audience loves it also. Garland Nixon, political analyst, host of the Garland Nixon channel on YouTube. Garland, where else can people find you, by the way? I know on your channel you have multiple shows.
Yep. I'm on of course, YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin. They can follow me on Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, they can email me, garlandn@gmail.com.
Badass. My man.
All right.
Have a good one, brother. Have a good one.
I'll be on at 10 a.m. this morning. I'll be on, let's see, 10 I got Scott Ritter, 12 I got Sloboda, and 3 o'clock I got Larry Johnson today.
Oh, you have a heavy foreign
heavy hitters, man. Yeah.
You have a good one, man. Be safe.
All right.
All right. Shout out to Garland. Shout out to